I'm trying to read what you wrote here. 10, 10, 10. Oh, yeah. Okay. Maybe we should finish it at 10:20 though. Then we'd be 10:20, 10, 10, 20. I don't know. So yeah, thanks for checking on me, Dave. I was actually looking at my phone, but then I was trying to figure out how to get how to get here. Um, so I don't know if you've ever experienced this. I feel like I experience this all the time, where I log into something or come to use some program, and they've changed some functionality about it, so that you can't. Um, it you just can't find things how you used to find them. So there used to be a button that said Studio, um, YouTube Studio or something like that, on my view of the channel, that would take me straight to the place to edit the videos, um, and to start the feed. But now that's gone. and, and now there's a button called Manage Videos or something like that, which gets you to the same place, but um, I was unsure about that. So I had a little clicking around to do before I could get things started. So, I mean, that's what happens, right? Technology. Technology is wonderful. It's amazing. I wouldn't even be able to do this, right? Um, but I do kind of wonder why they have to keep changing things, right? What was wrong with calling it studio? I knew that. I understood that. And there's an anxiety level of knowing that every time you come to do something, it may be completely different. Um, and you're going to have to figure it out. So I don't know. Maybe there's a lesson. Maybe that's a maybe that's a yoga lesson in change. Um, you know, that's kind of how it is with change, right? You don't usually get a memo that says, "Hey, by the way, everything's going to be different today. Something is going to throw you for a loop." Um, we don't usually get advance warning of that, so I guess we should be used to it by now. But I'm not loving it. All right, so today I wanted to talk a little bit about this idea of quieting the mind. So, when we get ready for meditation or Savasana or any of these things, we talk about relaxing the mind or quieting the mind. Um, and this can sometimes be a little confusing, like we're not really sure where we're going with this. And it can be a bit of a struggle. But if you are like most people, your mind is just running a mile a minute on a regular basis. Um, it's not something that you control. You don't make it do that. It's just kind of doing that on its own. The mind is usually running at a pretty high rate of speed. Um, I've seen articles, I've read things about this idea of, I think they call it thin slicing or quick slicing, where you automatically, like, you see something, and within you know just a fraction of a second, you've already filed that away. You've already made an assessment of what it is, what its relation is to you, what it's if it's dangerous, if it's not dangerous, what All of these things are running in your head every time you see something. And we come to these assessments so quickly. Um, and this is all good, right? This is for our benefit, for our survival. And we've evolved all of these methods and practices to keep ourselves safe. And they make a lot of sense, right? The problem is it's so much. It takes up so much space and so much of our time. And people who struggle with anxiety or, those sort of anxious mind things, even more so, right? So they may be on um, high alert all the time, right? They don't ever have a relaxed setting. So um, if we feel like that, if that is how we are doing or how we have been doing, we need to kind of step in and do what we can to kind of manually uh, take that program down from time to time. Um, so the best way to do this is the way that works for you. There isn't any one way to do it. Some people, and if you've ever listened to meditation tapes or done any sort of like formal meditation, a lot of times people will tell you this idea of emptying the mind. Empty the mind, make it empty. It's a very common kind of description, but I think it's a little confusing because our mind is really never empty. It's like a bucket under a waterfall. You might dump it, but as soon as you tip it back up, it's full again. Um, you aren't going to have a lot of success most of the time if that's what you're going for. And it can be very frustrating, right? Because thoughts are always creeping in. You aren't able to keep the mind blank. And so then you start feeling anxious because you aren't doing what you're supposed to do, right? You're not succeeding, you're failing. So, oh my gosh, even more concern. So, don't worry about that. If you can only set those thoughts aside for a few moments, that's enough. Um, so, try that, right? That is a technique to try. This idea of blank mind, empty mind. You can, work on some constructs. When we do meditation here, we talk about the blank screen or the blank canvas. So it gives you something to focus the mind on, but something very um, kind of boring. Not something that's likely to carry you off onto some tangent of thought. Something that is keeps you focused but not engaged, right? So we want to keep our mind from going off on some long trip, um, but we also don't want to have it get so deeply engaged in our focus that we start worrying about that. We start making that become a great deal of work in our heads. So that making the blankness something can help. And the other thing is, right, using a simple um, thing, right, a focus of some other kind. So uh, an image. Um, some people visualize like landscape or a peaceful location, right? For some people, that is very engaging but not taxing. Sort of visualizing a place that you feel very peaceful in. Um, some people visualize something like a flame or like a candle flame. Um, it could be like a deity or a person. right? People are a little tricky because a lot of times that can stir up a lot of other thoughts. But if that works for you, um, you can try it. And then a mantra, right? Mantra, we've talked about mantra being this simple phrase or word that is something that you are looking to kind of bring into your life. You can find mantra, there's simple, some like simple standard ones, like Om. Om is a great mantra. Um, there are lots of Sanskrit mantras, and Sanskrit, I think mantras are great because um, they they're kind of beautiful, and the sound is very healing and soothing. The vibrations of the sounds themselves, but because we don't have any association with that language, we don't know it. It isn't something we speak or use. Um, it keeps you focused, but again, not engaged. So you can say the words, visualize the words, whatever, but they don't have any real meaning to you. Um, they are just sounds. Um, and we can't, that's not likely to carry us off down some other um, rabbit hole, right? uh, so that's great. And if you don't have a mantra, you can, I mean, I hate to say you can look them up online, but you really can. You're supposed to get one from your teacher. That's like the traditional way to get one. Um, but again, you can look them up online. But if you're curious and you want a mantra, I can give you a mantra. I can suggest a mantra. Just, send me an email or something. Um, there's a lot of like mysterious, people very mysterious about mantra, and it's like this whole big thing. But it's just sounds. It's sounds and putting the sounds together in ways that are appealing and um, beneficial. So, um, but again, it's just a way to keep the mind occupied in a sort of a positive, neutral way. Um, so it might sound kind of weird, the idea of engaging the mind to make it quiet, but if you think of, I often I think of the mind as like a toddler, right? So you have destructive toddler and you have absorbed toddler, right? So you might, um, if you're trying to talk on the phone and the toddler's trying to get your attention, toddler is tugging on you and shaking you and talking and yelling, and you're just like, oh my gosh, what is going on here? Trying to get your stuff done. But if the toddler has a toy, something quiet and simple that keeps them somewhat absorbed in it, they can be very peaceful, right? So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for whatever works for you to keep your mind at peace while you rest. Because ultimately, meditation, shavasana, all of these things are about resting, about being at rest, um, being quiet, and allowing other things to happen within the body, within the mind, and the spirit that we don't normally hear. Everything is so loud that we don't hear those quiet things that are happening. Um, so the other explanation I've heard is given the monkey a banana, right? So this idea of the mind as a monkey, like chattering around, running around, making all these noise. Give it a banana, and it'll go over in the corner and eat the banana, and enjoy itself, be at peace for a little while. So you just have to figure out what your banana is, what works for you. Some people will find some things are very awkward and don't feel correct. Um, And so just discard that, but give it a try, give it a go. I've never met anyone who couldn't find something that worked. It may take a little practice. It may be hard. You might only get a few seconds here and there. And that'll just takes practice and direction and, keeping focused. And that comes with practice. So, find something you want to try and practice it for a while. Give it a shot. If you find it's not working, move on to the next thing. But again, give it a good shot. Don't try it once and then be like, because, lots of times it takes a little bit before you get the hang of anything. Right? All right. So, some movement today. Yoga is a great sort of prelude to quieting the mind. And to some extent, we can also quiet the mind in yoga. We're working towards that. As we're moving through the practice, we're very familiar with a lot of the poses and what we need to do to get there. So it becomes a very simple thing. So not something we're thinking a lot about or working really hard at. We are just letting the body move, keeping our mind focused on what we're doing and where we are. Take another breath and then bring the chin down toward the chest. Let the head hang down. And moving around to make a big circle. One way and then the other. Back to center. Lean forward. Move around. In one way and then the other. Just a couple of rotations. Coming back up to your seat. Arms wide for a deep breath. And then on the exhale, we're bringing hands together. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Interlace the fingers. Gazing up. And then arms down by your side. Inhale, lift. And lower. Lift. And lower. Once more, lifting up. Let's interlace the fingers. Release the pointer finger, so we're extending the arms up. Squeeze the biceps close to the ears. Deep breath, and then fold to the right. Moving back up, take a breath. Moving left. Back up, gazing up at the hands. Let's lean back a little. And then back up to center. Bring the hands down. Left hand on right knee, right arm behind you. Sit up tall, take a deep breath, and then twist. Back to center. Switch sides. And moving back to center. Let's walk the hands out in front. Back up. And then fingertips away from the body. Squeeze the shoulders together. Gazing up. And then back to your center. Tabletop. Sitting back on the heels. Moving back up. Tabletop. We're going to lift the right arm high. And then bring it under. The left arm sitting down on the shoulder or the upper arm. Coming back up. Lift the right arm again. Set it down. Left arm lifts high. And sitting down on the shoulder. back up. Lift the left arm. And then sitting back on the heels again. If you normally have the knees close together, let's bring them a little wider. Moving back up. Tabletop. We're going to swing the right leg around. So we're up on the knee. Arms overhead. Maybe lean back a little. And then hands to center. Take a deep breath. Twisting to the right. Hook the elbow here, or maybe stay more upright. Your choice. I go between these two. Sometimes it feels good to hook the elbow. Sometimes I don't like the twist when I'm really extended. Just really depends how my back is doing that day. Back to center. Right hand down by the foot. Lift the left. Right, so we don't want to get too attached to doing the pose in any particular way. Every day is different. And then bring both hands down to the mat. We're going to walk out a little, coming into a lizard. So if we're very attached to doing a pose in a certain way, we're not likely to take everything into account, right? We're more likely to try to force our body into that pose rather than adjust the pose to fit our body. And that is not going to turn out good. Then walking the hands back. We're going to be extending this leg, maybe folding over. And then set the foot down. We're going to swing the leg back around and come into child's pose again. You can do whatever you want here. Maybe stack the fists if you want to rest the forehead. Breathe. Moving back up. Tabletop, swing the left leg around. Arms overhead, maybe leaning back. And then hands to center. Breath in, twist to the left. Back to center. Left hand down, right arm lifts. And then both hands down. Walking out. Into lizard, adjusting wherever you need. You can come down onto the forearms here, right, if you want to make this a bit more intense. I'm not going to do that today, but you're welcome to. Walk the hands back. We're extending that left leg. Fold over maybe. Set the foot down. We're going to swing that leg around. And then we're back into child's pose. So maybe bring the knees close together for this one. Try a variety of different variations. Maybe bring the hands by the side. Moving back up. Let's just sit on the heels here for a few breaths. So if this is uncomfortable for you, you can flip the toes. So maybe you're sitting up a little higher. That might feel better. You can see. You could also bring the feet a little wider. Sometimes that is a more pleasant arrangement. This is another thing you could do with a block, right? If you find that you're coming down too far, put a block in there to give you a little height. And then, you can maybe work your way down as things stretch a little bit more. And then we're just going to come to a seat on the mat. Bring the legs around, soles of the feet together. Sitting up tall, take a deep breath, lean forward. Moving back up, both legs out in front. Arms up, overhead, take a deep breath, fold forward. You might have a slight bend in the knees here if hamstrings feel kind of tight. Coming back up, bring the legs wide. Toes are pointing up toward the ceiling. Don't have them fall down toward the center. Deep breath. And then we're going to start folding forward. Walk the hands out in the center if you want, or you could bring them out onto the legs. Trying to keep that shoulders back. We're leading with the chest. Breathe. Coming back up. Let's bring the feet a little closer so we're maybe the width of the mat. Right foot comes in close to the thigh. Sitting up tall and then turning the body slightly so we're facing the left leg. Arms overhead, take a deep breath, and then fold forward. We're reaching for the foot or the ankle or the knee, whatever we can reach today. Walk the hands back up and switch. Same thing, turning a little to face the right leg, lift the arms, and fold forward. Bring back up. Both legs out in front. Take a deep breath and fold. Moving back up. Let's point and flex the feet. And then making some circles. Moving one way and then the opposite. Great. And then bend the knees, soles of the feet to the mat. Give yourself a little room so that you still have mat when you come down. Lowering down or rocking back. So you're resting on your back on the mat. Get comfortable here. Let's bring the heels close to the body. Arms by your side. I'm going to use a block for supported bridge, but you're welcome to do regular bridge if you feel like a challenge. We're lifting up the hips. Find a place for that block. And breathe. So some days even supported bridge feels like a challenge, and that's okay. The whole point, right, of yoga, of doing this, keeping your practice up, is to just keep going. if we knew we had to sweat and kill ourselves for an hour a day, coming to the mat would be very difficult. If we know that you can do what you need to do that day, then coming to the mat becomes a pleasure. It becomes something we look forward to, not a struggle. I mean, that doesn't mean you're not going to struggle some days. But getting here shouldn't be a struggle. And if it is, think about your practice. What are you doing that is making you resist doing this? Maybe you are trying too hard. Maybe you aren't listening to your body. Right? We have a lot of conditioning to undo, a lot of years of telling ourselves that we're lazy, or we aren't trying hard enough, or we should do better, or all these other things that we fill our heads up with. Instead of just doing what your body is asking for. That's all. That's all you need to do. And then let's lift up. Remove your block, resting back down. Soles of the feet together, knees apart. You might bring your hands up over your head if you feel like it. I'm going to rest the back of my head in the hands. That's also a nice sort of chest opener, and you can feel the shoulder blades kind of squeezing together in the back. Let's bring the knees together. We're going to hug them in to the chest. Rock a little bit side to side. And then arms to a T or goalpost arms. Lowering both knees over to the right. And then knees over to the left. Back to center. Hands by your side. Extend the legs. And then when you're ready, lowering down however you want to. Rest and relax here. moving into a place for Savasana. So as we move into Savasana, you may find that that's when the thoughts start to creep in. Oftentimes, working through your yoga practice, your asana practice, the movement and just the concentration of getting into the pose is enough to keep your mind occupied. So you aren't doing a lot of thinking, but you're kind of at peace. Once you settle down for Shavasana, thoughts may start creeping in around the corners. So try to shift that focus to something peaceful and calm and neutral, right? Focusing on the breath. That's another way to kind of fill the mind without disturbing the mind. Moving a little, coming back to movement, then making your way up to a seat. We'll bring hands together, deep breath in and out. Thank you for taking time this morning for yoga and for sharing it with me. I hope you have an excellent Saturday. Namaste. Thank you. Meditation, shall we? Move right into it. Sitting up tall, shoulders back, nice and straight spine, shoulders right over the hips. Be comfortable. If you want to be in a chair, that's fine. You don't have to sit on the floor or whatever. It's up to you. Finding that peaceful state again. Focusing on breath and being right here. moving a little bit, fingers and toes. Maybe lift the shoulders. And we are back to regular stuff, finishing our meditation. So I don't know if that went slow or fast. It went okay for me, but I, like about halfway through, I think I had this feeling that I set 10 minutes instead of 5 minutes. So I had to kind of peek and see, no, I actually did I said 5 minutes. So there are times though it doesn't feel like that. It feels like it's much, much longer. And it's very strange. But that's why I think it's so helpful to do meditation with a timer, because it really gives you a clear view of how elastic our perception of time can be. Okay, so it's 10:10 on 10/10/20. So I achieved the goal, Dave, and we're at the end of class now. So okay, tomorrow's Sunday, so no class. Enjoy your day off, or do one of the videos, and I'll be back Monday.